What is up, people? What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent, coming at you with another live stream on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when we're live. Tonight, we're covering 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. Tonight's question is question number 24. When I go to a showing, what should I look for? I have a lot to say about this one here. So this will be a interesting conversation that we'll have today. The way this show works, I'm going to prepare you, or I have some prepared content around this question here, and then we will get to your question, whatever question that you may have about the real estate process, whether that's buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate. We will answer those questions after the presentation. If you're ready to start the home buying journey, your home selling journey, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form and we'll schedule time to meet online via Zoom to answer any and all of your questions. While you're listening to the presentation, post your comments down below. Let me know where you're watching the show from. What's your location? Let me know all of those details in the comment section. And like I said, we'll get to your answer as soon as possible. Before we begin tonight's show, I want to answer a question that came up last night. I promise you, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to do my best to find that answer for you. Last night, a question was asked on the show: what percentage of homes in Northern Virginia are a part of an HOA? A lot of homes I look at have HOA fees, which I'm not a fan of, only because I don't have the control I prefer over my property. If you ask me a question, I'll find the answer, and I have that answer for you tonight. So actually, this is actually for Northern Virginia. So scratch that out. This is for Northern Virginia. These are Northern Virginia homes sold with an HOA. So last year, 36,957 homes were sold in Northern Virginia. That's Stafford County, Prince William County, Loudoun County, Fairfax County, all of the Manassas, Falls Church, Fairfax City, Arlington County, and City of Alexandria. 36,957 sales. 9,831 of those transactions were not in an HOA or a condo association. So it's kind of hard to parse out the condos and the HOAs, because there are some condos that are in HOAs and a lot of HOAs that have no condo fees. But if you're just talking about an additional fee, there were only 9,831 transactions that did not have one of these fees, which represents 27% of all transactions. So that means that 73% of all homes that were sold in 2022 had some type of fee tied to them. Like I said, if you have a question, we will get to that answer. So let's jump into our question for today. When I go to a showing, what should I look for? This is going to be a not controversial, but this book is a great guide. This book gets you started on your journey. It also kind of points you in the right direction, give you some great questions to think about, and give you some insights on what you should do. In this section, though, I disagree with a couple points. First off, they tell you to use your showing as an opportunity to evaluate whether or not you like the neighborhood, the area, the community, and, oh, by the way, the house as well. I disagree with that. If you're going to go see a property, you should only see a property that you would buy if it didn't have some type of flaw that you can't determine or predetermine from the photos and from your research online. Going to see a property is not the time to say, well, I don't know if I like this community. I don't know if this commute is going to work. I don't know if this is close enough to my gym, is close enough to my favorite grocery store, or if it's going to give me the commute I desire. That's not the time to go to it's not the time to go to your to see the property. You should already know this information, right? Now, one of the good points that this book points out or brings out that's challenging to execute is the fact that when you see a property, you want to be objective. You want to control your emotions and just see the property as a dwelling, a place with 4 walls, a floor, and a roof. I'm going to let you know right now that is almost impossible. It's impossible for you to do that because you're about to spend a lot of money. This is not an insignificant purchase. It's not like you're buying a 25-cent ring out of a vending machine out the mall or something like that. This is a $500,000, $1 million, $2 million transaction. I mean, you've been saving money for what? Maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Maybe you've borrowed money from your parents. Maybe you went through a first-time homebuyer seminar, and now they want you to be objective about this purchase. This is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. This is why you need a real estate agent. This is why you need a professional who can be objective for you, because they are not vested in this purchase. They are simply looking at this as a transaction. They're simply looking at this as they are the facilitator. They have your fiduciary responsibility, or they have a fiduciary duty to you, so they can be objective. This is why you hire a professional. It would be nice to go into a property and not to become emotional, but this is the main difference between residential transactions and commercial transactions. With a commercial transaction, the buyer is only worried about the numbers. That is being truly objective. That is using only logic to make a decision. But we all know when you're buying a personal residence, your personal property, it's filled with emotions, right? It's filled with emotions tied to how you experienced your home when you were growing up, right? You may be buying a house to make amends for your childhood or your upbringing. There's so much tied to this purchase. I don't see how you could possibly be objective. When you're going to see a property, this is not a sightseeing tour, okay? This is a serious event. This is you determining if you're going to be purchasing a property. But what are you looking for, right? What are you looking for? Everything. You're looking at everything, both inside the property and outside the property. So let's talk about what you're looking for outside of the property. First of all, you want to start to evaluate the neighborhood. How does the neighborhood look? What's the curb appeal of your neighbors, right? Too often people fixate on the property themselves, the property itself, without taking into consideration that you're investing into a community. If you're investing into a community, then that means that everyone in your neighborhood is also a part of this investment group, right? So you want to start to evaluate them. Now, are you going to be able to ask these people questions? Possibly. Are you going to be able to make a fair judgment? No, but you do want to think about, okay, great. What is it? How do the front lawns of these properties that are around the subject property, the property that you're interested in, what do the cars look like, right? Like, are the cars modern? Are the cars in disrepair? Like, what do the cars tell you about the area? How are the neighbors keeping up their grass? How do their roofs look? How do the exterior of their properties look? Are their properties pressure washed? Are they do they have trash in the community? This can tell you a lot about the community before you even get into the property. This is something you can consider and evaluate. Next up, let's go into the exterior of the home. Once you get into the exterior of the property, you want to put on your Inspector Gadget goggles, right? You're looking for everything. You're looking for a story here, right? You're looking for a story from what did this previous homeowner or the current homeowner, how did they live in the property? What adjustments did they make in the property? And are you going to make similar adjustments when you purchase the property? When I say the exterior of the home, I'm talking about the outer layer. So that means that the garage door, the sidewalk, the grass, the landscaping, the exterior door, the exterior windows, the trim around the windows, the roof, as much as you can see, the gutters. You want to evaluate all these things before you get into a property. This is one of the reasons why I dislike nighttime showings. I think that first-time home buyers should not be buying properties at night. You should not go see a property at night because there's so much details that you're missing by going into the interior of the property that you just can't possibly evaluate at night. Okay, so let's talk about some telltale signs that I look for when I'm viewing a property for a client who's doing a virtual showing. One of the things I look for in a property is, where is the water running? The water running off of the property tells a story, because if water is running, if the gutter system isn't properly installed, then you could already have some pre-existing damage tied to water that's affecting your foundation. A lot of the foundations aren't exposed, right? There's going to be grading or grass and dirt that's going to be covering up the foundation. So you want to find out, where is the water? Where is the water going? And then proceed inside, right? The water damage on the exterior home can be super expensive. Like you can't wrap your head around just how much money you could spend trying to repair water damage from gutters, right? And from water runoff, right? So keep that in mind when you're looking at or evaluating a property, right? That's the exterior. Okay, so now let's walk inside of the property, right? Now we are going into the interior of the home. What are you looking for in the interior? First thing you're looking for is the layout. Once you evaluate if this layout can work for you, that's when you move through the rest of the property. If the layout doesn't work, don't waste your time looking at the rest of the property, because how you see yourself moving through the property, how you see your family or the other members of the household moving through the property is hard, almost impossible to adjust with some decoration, right? With some paint, with some furniture. That's going to be super challenging. So just don't do it. Don't do it. If you walk to a property, the layout is funky, the layout won't work for you, just let your agent know, hey, look, this isn't going to work. I don't want to waste your time. And then keep it moving. Keep it moving. That's the layout. Next up is, we're going to start from the bottom, right? From our feet all the way up to the ceiling. First of all, we're going to look at the floors. Now, what are we looking at? What are we looking for with the floors? If there are wood floors, you want to kind of glide your feet across the wood floors, where you're dragging your feet across the wood floors. You're looking to see if the wood floors have any buckling in them, or if they're puckering up or if they're buckling, right? That's going to be a super challenging thing to repair. It may require you to get new floors. And it also you got to keep in mind, the previous person who lived in this property has dealt with some things. They've just accepted some things that you may not feel comfortable accepting. So this is why you want to have your Inspector Gadget goggles on while you're looking at these properties, so that you could know that if this is going to be something that frustrates you, don't move forward. So that's the floors. Another thing with the floors you want to see is how many different flooring types are inside of this property. That's going to tell you a story about whether or not there was some type of damage in the past, whether or not the owner has interesting taste, right, in property, in just fixing up a property or repairing a property. And that'll tell you when were the different renovations or remodels done in a given property. Next up, we're looking at the walls. With the walls, you're looking for cracks. You're also looking for any seams that are going to be shown. This is going to show us that you'll probably need to get the property painted, right, soon. And painting in Northern Virginia is not reasonable. It's not to get a professional painter in a property is another expense that you really don't want to be biting off as soon as you move into a property, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. Now, if you're a more experienced home buyer, or if you've already owned a home, then you kind of have an idea of how much these items cost. But for my first-time home buyers, everything costs $1,000+ Everything. Just imagine Everything you touch is $1,000+. It's never a reasonable amount. It's never something that you think is going to be, like, oh, that's going to be a little bitty thing. Usually it just imagine several $1,000s for everything, right? All right. Now you want to look at the plugs. Look at the plugs. If there's only 2 slots in the plugs, then that means that you may be looking at an older property. You may have some electrical issues that may come to bite you in the future. We had a client who did a home inspection on a property just last year. The electrical part of the home inspection revealed that the electrical panel was older, but there weren't any problems. My client moved in because I think that my client had 4 kids. And so the owner of the property, the previous owner, there was only one person living in the property. My client moved in with 6 people, right? So 4 kids, 2 adults, that overloaded the electrical panel, and they had to spend about $7,000 or so to replace the electrical panel. So you want to be mindful of these things because, like I said, everything's going to be a couple $1,000s. Everything's going to be $1,000 or more. Now we're looking at the doors. The doors, you want to make sure that the doors are opening and closing properly. You want to make sure that they are all matching to some degree. You want to check out the door hardware, right? Also, you want to check around the door edges, the door jambs. These items are going to be costly in any event you have to pull the door or you have to replace the door jamb. Next, we're looking for cracks. We already kind of talked about cracks, but certain cracks that you're going to see in the drywall or even in the ceiling are really going to be a sign of the age of the property and also the settling of the foundation. So these may not be an issue, but if you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. This is not the time to be reserved, to be understanding. Don't be. This is the time to really press hard on your agent to find answers and to at least ask the seller about these different items. When it comes to windows, you want to see if the windows are newer, right? It's not likely that the windows are going to be new because windows are a very expensive renovation or a very expensive addition. So most people, when they're buying windows, they buy them to get some type of use out of them. Just keep that in mind. You want to find as new of windows as you possibly can because newer windows not only decrease the amount of energy you use, they also act as a sound barrier to the outside, right? So if your property is close to a major road or if there's a school or something like that, the windows could help with that sound barrier. Lastly, in the interior, we're looking at bedrooms and bathrooms. With your bedroom, you want to check the owner's bedroom first to see if it could fit your current furniture. If it can't fit your current furniture, then that means that you're going to have to make some decisions, right? Are you going to have to sell your king size bed? Are you going to have to sell your dressers, right? Are you going to have to can you fit all your clothes in the closet that they have right now? Will you have to use some of the other closets that are in the property? These are things you want to evaluate while you're in the property. With your other bedrooms, if you have little kids or kids in general, and you have a bunk bed, we have a bunk bed. It's a rather large bunk bed. It has a full size level, and then it's a twin on top. So our needs for a home were a little bit different because we wanted to keep that particular bunk bed, right? These are things you want to evaluate. When you go into the bathroom, you're checking, are you looking for a double vanity in the owner suite? Then you want to make sure it has that. Are you looking for a shower or a tub in the owner suite? You want to make sure it has that. In the guest bathrooms, if you have kids, this is usually something that comes up with kids. If you have kids, do you want your kids to have a double vanity in the bathroom because you know that they're going to be arguing, or you just know that there's a whole lot of hair care products, face care products, and you need a lot of counter space, which usually comes with a double vanity? Then check for that. Make sure it has that. Okay, let's move to the backyard. You know what? Before we move to the backyard, let's talk some more about the interior. Let's move to the kitchen. Inside the kitchen, you want to check for the age of the appliances. You also want to check if they work. Okay. Now, you can't run a microwave. Supposedly, you can't run a microwave unless something is in there, but you can at least see if the buttons work. Make sure that the stove is is up to par. Check the cabinets, right? I like to open some of the drawers in the cabinets and just see, are they soft close? What are the age of the cabinets? Open up the cabinet doors at the top to see like what is the condition of the shelves. Also, the back of the cabinet tells a story. That little back facing is going to tell, usually it'll tell you how old the cabinets are. What else are we looking for? We're looking for the condition of the countertops. Also, by the dishwasher. Dishwashers are notorious. Dishwashers and refrigerators that have ice makers are notorious for leaking. So you want to check out the flooring around that area. Excuse me, because that is usually going to be a telltale sign if there was a leak recently, or there may currently be a leak in the property as well. What else are we looking for in the kitchen? Okay, so that's everything in the kitchen. Now let's move out to the backyard. A lot of kitchens, or a lot of second level properties in Northern Virginia, there is a deck, or there's a deck off of the second level, and that's usually the main level. When you're going out from the deck, there's usually some type of wood rot right at the bottom of the deck door, the deck casing on the exterior of the property. Check for that. See if that was already repaired. That right there is going to be a couple $100s. I just want to let you know, a lot of properties have that damage. So get used to it, and you're going to have that damage as well, unless you wrap that part with some type of siding, which a lot of people don't. Okay, when you're outside in the backyard and you're checking out the backyard, follow the water. Again, the same thing we did in the front exterior. Follow the water. Where are the gutters? Where is that water running off to? If your backyard slopes downward, right, and if it slopes into your basement or into your home, there's a good chance you're going to have some water issues. Okay, you have water shooting down at your property, and water is relentless. It wins every battle it's in. Okay, so you got to worry about the grading of your property. This is going to be an ongoing maintenance thing, right? The grading of your property to make sure that water has somewhere to run off or run away from your property. Okay, so that's the water. Now we want to check out the backyard itself as far as the grass is concerned. If you have children, or if you have a dog, or if you have an animal you know that you like to leave outside, is this space going to work for them? This is what you want to evaluate while you're at the property. Now, while we're still in the backyard, we want to check out the fence. If the fence is in poor condition, you will have to replace that in the future. Fences are not cheap. Nothing is cheap in homes, okay? Fences are not cheap. So you want to make sure if you see a fence that looks horrible, just add a couple $1,000, several $1,000s in the back of your mind, right? Another thing you want to look for that's going to cost you in the future is the age or the condition of the deck. You want to look at the boards, the boards that make up the boards that you walk on for the deck, and you want to look at the pillars or the support beams that support the deck. If there are huge cracks in those bad boys, if the deck post goes straight into the ground and there's no barrier or anything like that, you just want to be mindful of that, because water will win. Water will win, right? A lot of the exterior property is protecting it from water, believe it or not. Okay, the last thing that you want to do in the backyard, this is something I like to do. Now you could do this either from your back deck or from the highest floor that faces the backyard. You want to evaluate what is going on in your neighbor's backyards. Your neighbor's backyards will tell you a lot about your neighbors that their front yards won't do. If there is just like an overgrown forest in some of these backyards on a regular basis, you got to keep that in mind, that your neighbor may not view maintaining their property the same way as other people. That's going to be somebody you're going to be moving next to. That's something you want to keep in mind as you make this $500,000, $1 million, $2 million investment. Do you want to deal with somebody who is very liberal in their thinking about how they take care of their backyard, right? Because if they have overgrown trees, if they have overgrown bushes, if they have overgrown grass, if they have dogs that run amok, that's going to be a part of your problem as well. That's going to be a part of your problem as well. Last thing, okay, so I think I said last thing already, but another thing you want to look at in the backyard, and really the exterior in general, you want to check out the trees. Trees cause a lot of damage with their roots. Also, trees fall. Okay, so during storms, trees fall. So you want to look at that tree. If it's a monster tree, then it's going to be a monster fall. That's going to be a problem for you in the future. Are the current homeowners trimming the tree back? Are they maintaining the tree? You may need to get an arborist involved. Arborists are not usually arborist solutions are never affordable, right? Removing a tree also is more expensive than you probably imagine. So that's it. That's it. That's everything you need to think about when you're looking at a property. Keep in mind, a lot of things are going to be um, really. So the way my wife described this to me, and she got it from somewhere else, is that a lot of problems that you face with a house are going to be like mice, right? They're going to be like mice compared to elephants. There are going to be very few elephants that are going to be deal breakers, right? Things that are going to be so significant that you wouldn't move forward. But if there's too many mice, then you may have to just move on with the property. You don't though. You don't want to not buy a property just because of the decorations, right? Just because of the owner's style. These are things that can be changed, and they may be easier than trying to find a house that's in as good of a location. So start with the location of the property first. Make sure that the location makes sense before you go and check out a property. Once you find a property that fits your location requirements, then you move into the evaluating the neighborhood, and then we evaluate the exterior of the house, interior of the house, backyard, and there you go. So this was question number 24. When I go to a showing, what should I look for? So this is out of our 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. Now it's time for our questions, right? So get those questions ready. If you have any questions about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate in Northern Virginia, let me know, and I'll be sure to answer your question. And if I can't find the answer, if I don't know the answer, I will find it and bring it to you on a future show. If you're ready to start your real estate journey, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form, and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom to answer any and all of your questions. Woo, that was a good one. Like I said, I knew I had a lot to say about this one. What do y'all think about this series so far? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. What do you think about it? We go live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night. We're going to make it through this book right here. And we actually have a new book, too, we're going to introduce. It's called 100 Questions Home Sellers Should Ask. So we have to do a little work before we start that book, but we'll have two pieces of this presentation here. And again, one of the reasons why we do this series is to give you a local's perspective, a local agent. I've been in the area almost 10 years, been selling real estate for 14 years. And sometimes these books, they're a great starting point to the conversation, but they don't give you a realistic perspective of what you can do in your current market, right? So it's always good to get a professional, a local professional's perspective on, can I really try this stuff? Can I really do this stuff? All right, let's get to some of the questions. All right, so we have blah, blah, blah. All right, so Kevin says, I'm in Nova. Excellent. Welcome to the show, Kevin. Thank you for joining. Someone else said Bible Belt. I don't know what that means, but let me know what your questions are. If we don't have any questions, then we will see you all on tomorrow. Tomorrow, me and the family, we're going to DC proper. DC with the boys. I think we're going to one of the museums. I don't know what museum we're going to, but we will be at a museum tomorrow. So that should be fun. We're even going to catch the metro if it's not too cold. If it's not too cold. Although since it's going to be so cold tomorrow, that means that parking may be easy to find. So we may just drive in. I don't know yet. Let me know your questions. Post them down below. We'll stay on for a few more minutes while we wait for those questions to roll in. Okay, one more note about today's topic. When you're going on showings, when you're going to a showing, just remember a lot of people these days have listening devices or surveillance equipment, right? That's either Ring cameras. They have stuff inside their homes that are just listening at all times. So when you're looking at properties, especially during today's time, be mindful of that. Don't say anything negative about the property. You don't really know that you're not going to buy the property until you've purchased another property. So don't say anything negative. Just keep it to yourself, or wait until you get outside and away from the property, because these Ring cameras, they pick up a lot of noise outside on the exterior. And also they have the Ring lights on the exterior of the property. So even in the backyard, they could be monitoring you, and they have the right to, or they have the ability to monitor you. So keep that in mind. No negative comments inside the property. Also, don't talk about your motivation inside the property. Don't talk about your cash position. Try not to be too excited inside the property too. I know this is a hard one, but try not to be too excited when you're viewing the property, because if they know you're excited and they know that you want the property, then they may be much more challenging when it comes to the negotiation process. All right, let me know your questions. Let me know what questions that you may have. This is a good little session here tonight. Hope this video helps somebody. For my TikTokers, the replay of this video will be on our YouTube channel. So you can go to our YouTube channel, go to the live section, and you can see this particular video if you missed any part of it. All right, let me know your questions. Any questions you have about real estate, buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, post them down below. All right, last call for questions. Last call for questions. We'll let this song play out, and then if we don't have any questions, then we will call it a night. Get ready for our day tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to DC proper. Go to one of the museums with the fellas, with the kids, with the children, the family. Thinking about taking the metro. Do do do. Any questions? Last call for questions. Once this song ends, if there's no questions, we will call it a night. If you think about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, let me know. Okay. No questions so far, so we can say good night. Thank you all so much for joining me on tonight's live stream, where we covered another question from our 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. Tonight, we covered question number 24. When I go to a showing, what should I look for? If you're looking for the replay for this live stream, it is located on our YouTube channel, Where to Live in Northern Virginia. If you're ready to start your real estate journey, there's a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill that form out, and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom, and I'll answer any and all of your questions at that time. Until tomorrow 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be back with question number 25. How can I remember each home when I've seen so many? That's question number 25. We'll tackle tomorrow. And that's it. So Abraham Walker, Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent. I'm out. Y'all take care. Peace.